Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. Our theme for today is going to be the real flakes. now, just snowflakes. I told you guys that discussion I had with the guy. The snowflake guy, where he thought I was talking about white girls, which we do. Black guys, we call white chicks snowflakes. Like, this has been going, I don't know, decades. We'd be like, oh, hey, dude, you still with that girl? Oh, that snowflake? No, we broke up, whatever. And it would be that white girl I was dating or whatever. And I don't care. I mean, look, I don't take offense to that. Maybe white women do. But it was funny when I used to host a radio show for a buddy of mine, guest host. He had two white ladies. One was a producer. The other did traffic. And I would call them my snowflakes. Hey, it's always good to be with my snowflakes on the radio. It was no big deal. Yeah. Now, if there was some term that referenced black women, and there would have been a big deal, because that's just the way things are. But no, they loved it. They're like, yeah, we're Kevin Snowflakes, But I was talking about people who melt under pressure. That's what a snowflake is to me. It's a dual meaning. But anyway, I want to dedicate today's show to the flakes. And what better place to begin than Arizona, where we have Senator Jeff Flake, who could not have a better name. Flake. We have two senators in Arizona who have their heads planted firmly up their buttocks. And it just goes to show you, folks, how badly Republicans have lost their way. We got a lot to talk about today, just FYI. But I want to start with these flakes, because every story that I will regale you with today showcase flakism, flakitude of magnificent proportions. I mean, we are talking about the craziest people on the planet. I'll prove it. Don't worry. You know how this show works. No conjecture on the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. By the way, if you want to call the show, 844-551-8255. So here's what Jeff Flake had to say. He got caught in a hot mic moment. They call it that. It wasn't that big of a deal, but he got caught in a hot mic moment. And here's what he had to say. And I want to comment on this because he's technically correct. The flake is right.
Arizona Senator Jeff Flake that was caught on a hot mic moment earlier this week, not realizing his microphone was on while talking about the president and controversial Senate candidate in Alabama, Roy Moore. Watch what happened.
Come the party of Roy Moore and Donald Trump. We are the post.
Yeah, so Jeff Flake has been a very vocal critic of President Trump, a vocal critic of Roy Moore, as have been many other Republicans. The president has now been criticized for several days for not giving a definitive answer as to whether or not he believes some of Roy Moore's accusers. Actually, today on one of the Sunday morning shows, Mick Mulvaney, the director of the OMB, said that the president doesn't know who to believe and that the people of Alabama should decide who they do believe. The president tweeted about Jeff Flake, as you said a few moments ago, Anna, saying that he was saying bad things about your favorite president and suggesting that Flake would vote no on tax cuts because his political career, anyway, is toast.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. The GOP is toast. Jeff Flake is right. The GOP is toast. Look, the GOP has been dying for a long time. I don't need to give you all the reasons that this beast needs to die. Don't misunderstand me. We have to have something that counters the left, but it isn't the GOP. These people are so sold out, it's ridiculous. And the sad part about it is they're no good at what they do. It would be different if, we get the majority. We waited for the majority. Oh, we were like, okay, we got the majority of the House. We need the majority of the House. Woohoo, let's get the majority of the House. So we get the majority of the House. And what do? We squander it. Paul Ryan, that wasn't Ryan, Boehner just lined up with Harry Reid, and they just marched lockstep over the American people like no big deal. So everybody's like, we got to get the Senate, man. If we get the Senate, woo, it'll be amazing. So we get the Senate. We get the House and the Senate, and Barack Obama just said, I don't care about y'all. And he just marched over them like they were nothing. They didn't put any political pressure. They didn't put any social pressure. Nothing. It was like they didn't know what to do. I have this conversation all the time with Republicans. I go, when do you guys, you have a tiger by the tail, and I'll use Planned Parenthood as an example. Planned Parenthood should be gone. It should be the acorn of social justice, social movements, right? At least the acorn had to reconstitute. Planned Parenthood proudly still runs under that logo after we have talked about the percentage of black babies killed and the fact that they sell the baby parts and buy themselves Lamborghinis. And the Republican Party can do nothing to get rid of them. Still funding them. Now, we did an article where Asa Hutchinson out of Arkansas, he made it to where they're no longer part of Medicaid. But you would think nationally we could have said enough is enough. They're not doing mammograms. Women have access to all the things Planned Parenthood has to offer, and that's the end of it. But no, as powerful as ever. And if that's not bad enough, I'm constantly telling you guys the Republican Party has allowed the Democrats to appear to be the party of righteousness, the party of freedom, the party of anti-slavery, when in fact they hung people. If you want those people representing you, shame on you. You get what you get. The party of Roy Moore and Donald Trump. We are toast. The party of a man who has dedicated his life to being a good Christian, and the party of a man who's dedicated his life to building the American dream. And now, and I'm speaking of Donald Trump, now he wants to show you that this government has corrupted itself. And a sitting senator who carries an R after his name would dare criticize one of the most sanctimonious people that's running for office, Roy Moore, and one of the best, probably the best president, certainly in modern history, and he's only got a year under his belt, and he wants to criticize him. The GOP is toast. It's toast because of things like Jeff Flake. For flakes like him, who would dare turn against us. Why? Because Jeff Flake likes the attention. See, Flake think about it this way. What did you know about Jeff Flake prior to this? You knew nothing. He was just he's one of 100 guys. That's a very prestigious thing to get, and it's not enough for him. He wants to be loved, and so does John McCain. So he will willingly throw you, the conservative movement, the Christian conservatives, the Donald Trumps of the world, under the bus so it makes him feel better.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177, or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So we got the terrible, terrible news that Charles Manson died. And if you remember Charles Manson, they did a show about him. I remember this TV show. It was like a TV movie. And it was about Manson and his ability, his Svengali-like qualities to get people to follow him. Hey, man, come out to the commune and commune with me and blah, blah, blah. And the man is evil and blah, blah. I don't even know much about Charles Manson other than he was supposed to be this heinous guy. And he got these, couple of blonde chicks and somebody else to go kill a wealthy family that lived in a very safe neighborhood in California. This is when California began to make that transition from being a really cool place to live to being just a land of fruits, nuts, and fairies. And so I watched Helter Skelter, and they showed Manson, and he was all evil, and he had the swastika in the middle of his, where his unibrow would normally be, and all that. And everybody's like, Charles Manson. And get this, Charles Manson runs a commune, convinces people to come out there. He's wackier than, he's completely nutty, right? So he gets these people to come out. They get tripped out on LSD and mushrooms or whatever else. And he's like, yeah, man, go kill that family. So he doesn't do it. He doesn't have the guts. Not that, you'd want him to do it, but I'm just saying it's not him. So he sends some of his disciples. And think about this. This is the free love era. These are these, cute blonde girls and the guys, and all they do is they go out there for orgies. That's it. It was a reason to say, I'm not really promiscuous or bad girl, no, I'm part of a commune and my leader wants me to do this. Whatever. Make a rationalization for whatever you want. You're just a freakazoid who wanted to have sex with a bunch of people, and you go out to the commune. And by the way, hand up, most kids, boys, 17 to 25 are going to sign up for that every single time. Hey, man, you come out to the commune, these crazy hot chicks come out and they just want to have sex all day and smoke pot and blah, blah, blah. Outside of the drugs, at 20, I'd have been there. They go, that's our leader. Yeah, okay, whatever. Where are the girls? As they said in Blazing Saddles, where the white women at? That's just a joke. So anyway, Manson's this Svengali guy who puts a spell on everybody. He didn't put a spell on anybody. These were dope head, crazed leftist, hippie generation people wanting free sex and some transcendental thing that they thought they were experiencing, which, by the way, kids, don't do drugs because that's the reason why you don't want to do it. And then he sends them out and they go kill this family, a prominent family. So Manson gets this bigger than life persona. And he's supposed to be the guy, man. And I remember thinking, how many people did Manson kill? Even as a little kid, when I would watch it, I was, man, he must have killed like 100 people. Holy cow. But what, he killed like 2 people? One of them, you know what made that crime so heinous? And I'm going from memory. I didn't do an ounce of research on Manson anymore. And the reason is I'm not going to waste my time. But one of the ladies, I think, was pregnant. And they cut the baby out or something. Is that right? I don't know. Don't research it. I don't need it. I just remember that being part of it. And I can almost remember the name of the family. And, of course, they wrote blood stuff on the wall and put the Helter Skelter or whatever else. That's what you write that on there. Blah, blah, blah. So he gets found out and he's sentenced to prison. And my dad he was a nurse in San Quentin prison, and he was tasked to give Manson shots. This is what he said. He could be lying. And he says the whole time he was giving Manson shots, Manson was calling him, the N-word, and why y'all letting this N-word work on me, blah, 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 etc. Because he's a, total racist, which made him fit right in with the Democrats. Because not only was he racist, he was crazy, and he sent people to kill for no reason. Why? Because of drugs. Perfect Democrat. If he were alive today, he might be like a former member of Obama's cabinet. So anyway, they sentenced this fool to prison. I was told by people that are in the know from San Quentin prison, this was not from my dad, but they said Manson was they treated that dude, he was a girl in prison. I'll put it that way. Nobody was afraid of Charles Manson in prison. He could pull that helter skelter and I'm the evil, I'm the devil. And people are like, yeah, well, bend over, devil. So I heard, guys, I'm telling you, they said nobody's afraid of Manson in San Quentin, and he was treated like one of the girls. That's what I was told. So total flakes allowed this commune to exist, this hippie environment where these people did nothing but drugs and sex. And then they go and get a prominent family killed. It wouldn't matter whether they were prominent or not. But they happened to get a prominent family killed, which landed Manson and I believe 2 or 3 others in prison. And Manson gets this bigger than life reputation when he's little more than a girl in prison. Treated like a concubine. And finally he's dead. And if you're looking for any sympathy from Kevin Jackson over Charles Manson, you're not going to get it. God, be patient with me. No, what is it? Please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet. I don't have any sympathy for him. This is a man who made his life about hating others. You know, he was originally due to die in 1971, but the flakes in California suspended the death penalty. So we carried his sorry butt on the public dole for 46 additional years. This is why I can't stand leftism. See, that man, he didn't deserve to be around. He's a vile human being. Oh, come on, Kevin, he's redeemable. We're all redeemable in the eyes of God. Sure. Yeah, he could have made his peace and been gone in 1971 when with whatever the penalty was. And for the record, if your crime causes the death of another in the way that Manson did it, sending people out to go kill, you should be killed. Accidental death, manslaughter, things like that, perhaps not. I'll leave that to the courts. But you intentionally kill somebody, you send your, quote, disciples to kill people, and we got to carry you on the public. How much money did the state of California spend on Manson? I don't have an answer. Just curious. 46 years on death row. And the death row is so heinous that the man died on it. I mean, he died of natural causes at the age of 83 on death row. How sick is that? Stupid leftist. Yeah, that's a real deterrent. Yeah, don't call it death row. It's life in prison now because it doesn't matter. We'll carry you as long as we need to. If there's any place for Obama's euthanasia in Obamacare, let's start in the prisons. Make some room for these young thugs that want to get in there so badly. Maybe we can even start with that basketball player that his dad said Trump didn't get him out of prison.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. We got Thanksgiving coming up. It's Kevin Jackson Show. We plan to celebrate. What are you going to be doing for Thanksgiving? Mama's cooking food. You going home? What? You doing it yourself with your girlfriends? What you doing, boys? Tell me. Producers. Me, I don't know. Got a buddy driving in. He's going to stay with me. We're going to golf for sure. But lots going on, man. I don't know. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. Early. Let me tell you what you do need to do on Thanksgiving, though. You need to gloat. Okay? You need to gloat at Thanksgiving dinner. We should have made this our Thanksgiving broadcast, not our flake broadcast. But we'll do another one. See, what you're about to experience, America, is the best Thanksgiving in decades. Dun, 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 dun. All right, isn't it? Think about it. You have a lot to be thankful for. We talked about this last year. I remember the show because Donald Trump had been elected. And we were all exuberant. But here's the thing, folks. I'm including last year's Thanksgiving when I say that this Thanksgiving will be the best Thanksgiving ever. See, honestly, I don't remember much about Thanksgiving last year. Do you? I'm going to tell you, when Thanksgiving last year occurred, I was still intoxicated, drunk on the butt kicking that we had given the left on November the 8th, confirmed on November the 9th. I went into a drug-induced stupor. I didn't take any. I didn't need any. You know what I'm saying? On that day, we blew through Thanksgiving and we got 10 Christmases all rolled into one. You know, when you play Monopoly and you land on, you get the like community chest or whatever, and it says, go straight to go and collect $200. That's what happened with Thanksgiving. I just went, I took my little shoe, my Monopoly shoe, and went shoo, 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 and went straight to collect $200. Didn't even think about it. I have a faint memory of Thanksgiving, and I'm not telling you how to think. I'm just telling you I probably had a glorious Thanksgiving. I cannot remember, and here's the reason. I remember pieces of it. Don't misunderstand me. I was with my family and all that, but I was in Euphoria. If there was a land called Euphoria, I was there. Man, that was only, what was that, 2 weeks after Hillary Clinton got the bad news? It was, whoo, I think about it now and I smile. I doubt your butt-hurt leftist relatives even showed up to Thanksgiving in 2016. What happened? I don't see. You can't judge me on it because I don't have a whole lot of leftist friends. Most of my relatives live in Texas, and I wasn't there. So, yeah, I'm sure that my older brother and all them, they got together and stuff. But I don't have a frame of reference like I might normally have. I wish I did. I got to get some more memories. But I'm telling you, they were afraid to show. They were sick in bed and stuff. Yeah. They were still black and blue, icing their naughty bits, especially those feminists. Feminists got the biggest naughty bits on the left. Mm-hmm. The leftists who thought Hillary Clinton would win wanted nothing to do with us on Thanksgiving. See, Thanksgiving is where you get together as a family, right? And you talk about the stories and the year and what you're all thankful for, etc. And when I'll get to it. Yeah. Some of your relatives weren't even available. And you got, what happened to old Aunt Jean and Brother Bobby? Checked themselves into rehab. Others were afraid to leave their houses, preferring to suffer alone, suffer in silence. I'm sorry. I gotta laugh. It was a glorious time. And I'm still celebrating because let me tell you something. We did not enjoy Thanksgiving up until last year. And this one is going to be so sweet. These baboons have had a year to lick their wounds, folks. They might dare venture out this Thanksgiving and show up empty-handed for the free food because you know they ain't going to bring nothing. They won't even bring a bag of chips. If they bring something, you know what they'll bring? Let me tell you what a leftist will bring to the party. He will bring the beer he wants to drink or the wine he or she wants to drink. They won't bring something for everybody. That's conservatives. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Licking their wounds. Their wounds haven't healed. They're just, good enough to where they can walk. Yeah. You don't have to be completely healed to say, well, I guess it's time for me to, convalesce and get out of the bed and start walking around a little bit. Because let me tell you, they are still black and blue of the buttocks region. So this year, I'm going to tell you, I'm telling all my peeps, my friends, my fans, whatever you want to call yourselves. Take no prisoners this Thanksgiving. It's time for you to hoot and holler. That's right. Have yourselves a hee-haw good time. A hee-haw. I just wish I could see the faces on some of your relatives as they have to soak in a year under Donald Trump. And you get to say things like, yeah, and that appointment of Gorsuch has been pretty amazing. How's your 401k, Chuck? Yeah, you get to talk about the level of immigration dropping, illegal immigration dropping 75%. You get to talk about the fact that the president, Donald Trump, has managed to keep a plug on the national debt. It's barely over $20 trillion. He's kept a plug on it. You get to talk about all the different things that this man has done to make America great again. The money he brought back from Saudi Arabia, $350 billion contract, largest in the history of the country. The money, and things that he brought back from the Chinese trip, the Asian trip. 2 major manufacturers are going to build plants here. All the jobs that have been created. You get to talk about that unemployment figure down lower than it's been in 29 years. You get to talk about the consumer, what do they call it? It's an index of like how good people feel about the country. Consumer confidence. That's it. Thank you. Consumer confidence. And go into that. Higher than it's been in years. And you get to remind them of who just left. Who just left office? And what's going on with him? All the investigations. You get to remind them that Hillary Clinton, the person that they wanted to be president, is now embroiled in multiple scandals. You get to remind them of the people that they love, the group that they follow. The Harvey Weinsteins of the world are in big trouble. The Democrats are in big trouble. You have to tell them about Al Franken. And I mean, I don't care about Al Franken, but rub it in their faces. What about that Al Franken? And others. Kevin Spacey. Yeah, the other day I was watching House of Cards. Oh, I'm sorry, it's been canceled. Or figure out a way to work in all these different things. You have lots of angles. You better gloat. Don't you disappoint me. You better gloat. You have a president who has run circles around the clown that they believed was the best guy in the world. Remind them. But mostly remind them of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and all these sex scandals and the fact that Bill Clinton should have resigned office, that he got off light. In light of everything else that we've learned about the left, remind them of every scandal from Benghazi to Email Gate to the last person the Clintons killed. Get them all there. Tell them what Donna Brazile had to say. Have some conversations about what's been in the news. Because let me tell you something. When they whooped our butts in 2008, they took no prisoners. Those suckers were so happy to make us look like idiots. Oh, yeah, we got our president. Woo, yeah, look at you, yo, racist. And then, and they're trying the same thing. And you know what? It's not working. It's not working. Donald Trump has thwarted them at every turn. He's stupid. He's a womanizer. He doesn't like Muslims or Mexicans, whatever. Muslims and Mexicans, M&Ms. He doesn't like the M&Ms. Only the green M&Ms. Those are green cards. That's what I meant. Anyway, I want to finish this because I'm telling you, this is the best Thanksgiving we've had in a decade. We had a good one last year. I know you did. But this is the one that you got to get some comeuppance. Back in
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Tons to be thankful for. God bless beyond belief is what I am. And I'm sure you feel much the same. See, conservatives, we're not cup half empty type people. We're cup is always half full, minimal, and there's more. I can fill it up anytime I want. I don't worry about the cup. I got plenty of juice. Anyway, glad you guys are with me. KJRadio.com. Talking about Thanksgiving. This will be undoubtedly the best one you've experienced in modern times. I mean, I think back on the Bush years. I was arguing with some leftist. He was talking to me about George Bush. I said, look, if you want me to go back and rerun the clock, I'll be happy to bash Bush. He's a waste of space. Terrible president. Better than Obama. But still, what bar is that? That's like jumping over a 2-inch bar. So, if you want me to bash Bush, would that make you feel better? I'm happy to. See, I want the best for this country. And we didn't have it with Bush, and we doggone Skippy didn't have it with Obama. But now we got something to be thankful for. A billionaire who matters, who cares. I was looking at a chart, and they said Donald Trump was worth $4.5 billion when he started the presidency. He's worth $3.5 billion now. Remember me telling you the left were laughing at him for having $1 billion less net worth. And I said to myself, that shows you all you need to know about the left and the Constitution. They don't get it. The founding fathers wrote it in to where you sacrificed to serve government. Not the other way around. Barack Obama came into government being worth somewhere between $3 to $4 million. He left. He's worth well over $60 million in one book deal. The guy gets $400,000 a speech now. You think, who fared better? The Clintons came into office. They had zero wealth. They left with $100 million. Yeah, by the time Hillary Clinton left the Secretary of State, the Clintons were worth over $100 million. They've enriched themselves. Let me tell you what I'm thankful for, folks. I'm thankful we don't have a President Hillary Clinton. Think about how many Thanksgivings happened during the era of Obama where you went around family and you bit your tongue. Remember Thanksgiving of 2008? Now, see, we knew John the Traitor McCain would lose to the black ingenue, baby black Jesus, and we took our medicine. Some of you might have even thought things would improve under the Obama regime. You wanted to believe. Am I right? Look, I didn't vote for Obama. I knew he was a heel. I knew he was a scam artist. But there are some of you listening to this program who voted for Obama. You can admit it. It's okay. But things didn't improve. So by Thanksgiving of 2009, Obama had a year under his belt, and America sucked. Some Americans didn't get turkeys that year. Horrible year. Financially, layoffs. Obama lost in his first year 4 million jobs. Just to put it in perspective. So a lot of leftists who voted for him were served a heaping helping a crow. But they decided he needed more time. Y'all remember? He needs more time. And the joke was, let's give him 5 to 10. 4 million jobs lost his first year. So what? That moron added over $1 trillion to the national debt. America had its first half-black president. Celebrate it. So at Thanksgiving, you were told, he's still good. Shut up. You better be quiet over there. I'll kick your butt, man. Thanksgiving 2010 should have been grand for us. Am I right or am I wrong? Obama dared us. You remember when he said, well, that's what elections are for? When he got challenged on his policy positions. And we obliged. We whooped his bony butt. And Obama's only show of humility that I've seen, he said, well, I got a shellacking. And they did. They showed me. But instead of getting the message, he doubled down against the American people. He decided to ignore the lesson of the election, and then he started circumventing Congress. Obama led with executive orders. That's what he decided. Oh, well, I can't get something done. I'll issue an EO. But Thanksgiving 2010 should have been one where you said to your family, I told you so, suckers. But again, conservatives kept their mouths shut for the sake of family unity. We don't want to be a disturbance. And you'll hear people say all the time, families will go, now, let's not talk politics during dinner or whatever. What they're telling you is don't talk logic, conservative stuff. Whether it's sports, you're watching a football team and they kneel. Don't talk politics. No, let them kneel. Don't say a word. Let them hold their fist in the air. Don't say a word. Well, guess who wins when you don't say anything? Anyway, 2012 Thanksgiving was like a man getting kicked in his naughty bits without a cup. Obama had cheated and they won. 4 more years of that cocky, crap-eating grin that we had to endure from that clown. And this might have been the worst Thanksgiving ever for conservatives who believe we had rid ourselves of the cancer of Obama. We knew he was going to lose and Romney would be president, but God saw it in his wisdom. He was like, you don't want Romney as president. He's a weak-kneed rhino sissy. And if you don't know it, I know it. Not to mention, the guy who's in there, he's horrible. Now, if I give him another 4 years, it'll be even worse. So the good Lord said, not let him win. He didn't let Romney win. He left that cancer in place in America. Anyway, we would get another chance for an amazing Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving of 2014. Another opportunity, however, missed to get back at the Obama bots. A second midterm election where the people spoke. We bolstered our seats in the House and we maintained the Senate. Obama was now essentially a lame duck president, and we were gearing towards 2016. Do I really need to go into what happened in 2016? Because we've effectively come full circle to where I started. Why this will be the best Thanksgiving you've had. Against all odds, Donald Trump, the billionaire mogul, builder of large luxury buildings and resorts, against all odds won in the most crooked election in American history, where the Democrats pulled out all their tricks. Donald Trump defeated the axis of evil. The DNC, the Clinton campaign, the Obama administration, and the media industrial complex. And now we find ourselves in the first official Thanksgiving of Donald Trump as president. And since the left thinks Trump's election is the end of the world, then you need to party like it's that way. Party like there's no tomorrow. And look, I get it. People, Kevin, we just use Thanksgiving to get along. Let me tell you what Thanksgiving used to be in my family. We get together. Nobody really talked politics, but this is years ago. We would get together as a family. Everybody brings something. We put on the football game. We'd watch the Cowboys play Detroit. Now, forget the other game, the Packers, I believe. The Cowboys played Detroit and the Packers played somebody. if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was Chicago. Those are the two games, the rivalries. I don't know why, because it could have been the Cowboys and Washington Redskins at the time or whatever. But that's what they did. And we'd cook, and then we'd go play in a turkey bowl ourselves. All the family members, men and women, we'd go play the turkey bowl. You know, fun game amongst family. So that's what we did. Now, if you're going to watch football, which I'm not, you know, you got all the politics of that. And as I mentioned earlier, by you saying nothing, by you allowing, you know, like, for example, if I ask the question of one of my family members, so, hey, Chuck, you get that, you working yet? Yeah, Kev got a job. Hey, boy, glad Trump's president because you didn't have one last year, did you? Oh, that's controversial, Kevin. I can't do that. All right, whatever. What would you say to your friends and relatives if you only had one day to live and politically you wanted to say something? What would you do? Would you just keep your mouth shut? Make this the best Thanksgiving ever, folks. Then do the same for the next 7 Trump presidency Thanksgivings that are coming, God willing. Don't let these people, these relatives of yours who rubbed it in your face when Obama was elected, you don't get to do the same. You make sure you get yours as well. That's what I say.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. So we're talking about flakes. Flakes on the left. That's what they are. They're all flakes. California, the land, fruits, nuts, and fairies. Arizona's got flaky senators, including one named Flake. I could go on. Forever. It's just crazy to watch the world go by with the level of lunacy. I was having a conversation with a guy. I wrote a piece. And I alluded, I said, yeah, so what? I'm going to get called Uncle Tom. And I said, a gross misuse of the term. And a guy wrote me a note and he says, Kevin, he goes, well, you know what? Let me read the note because I don't want to mischaracterize it. I think we have that note. So here's what he says. I grew up in Detroit hearing this term. It was and is synonymous with a Benedict Arnold, a traitor, a turncoat, etc. I never thought to question its meaning. After all, everyone used it in the same context. So a few years ago, I decided to learn more about this character, and he's speaking of Uncle Tom. So he says, so I read the book. I was amazed at the mischaracterization of this character in common use. I should think that the black community would embrace this character as an example of a strong role model. However, now when I hear the term, I look at how it's being applied and realize that, ironically, the person being called an Uncle Tom is actually a strong black role model that is being mischaracterized because of some sort of political correctness. The same way the fictional character was when the story was written. Yet political opinion seems to be more important than facts. Another great article. Thanks for pointing this out. It was sent to me by a guy named Steve. And Steve, here's what I want to say, and I want to say this to the audience, the radio audience. The idea that black people have gone without reading Harriet Beecher Stowe's novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, and understanding that this man was a protector of blacks, that he is actually the protagonist in the film, the good guy, and they will blatantly use this term in reference to supposed bad people, like myself, and not even understanding that it is a compliment, shows you exactly where we are in this nation. See, this is upside down. To call me an Uncle Tom is to flatter me, to say, Kevin, you're willing to sacrifice your own life to protect the others. And that's why every time they do it, I chuckle to myself and go, yeah, proud Uncle Tom. Proud Uncle Tom. But what's most scary is this. Black folks don't bother to research and find out what it's all about and correct. They can just be told something. This is a bad thing. Uncle Tom. Oh, here, Uncle Tom. Oh, is that a bad? Yeah, oh yeah, here, Uncle Tom over there. Here, ooh, okay, and so I shouldn't associate with him. No, he's an Uncle Tom. Because they're too lazy to read the stinking book and understand what's going on. And this is what the left relies on. They rely on that level of ignorance.
Since I am black, I guess I should start off with something that's kind of true about myself that deals with black people, right? There's this one time I got an email sent to me, right? And I didn't know what to do with this email. I looked at it, and it's because the subject of this email said, "Blacks don't read." And I was really confused. I was like, okay, but like, what is this really saying? Like, is this saying black people are prone to not reading things? Or is it saying, if you're a black person, don't read this? This is gonna be super racist. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. How would this email know if I'm black or not? I don't understand. So I went to one of my friend's house who is not African American, and I opened it on his thing, and it actually turned out to be the first thought. It was actually like this 5-page article talking about how black people don't read things. Like if they do read it, they just skim over something, or sometimes they'll just bypass it or whatever. I mean, that's what my friend told me. Like, I didn't read it.
That's why I like that clip. That clip illustrates the comedy. That's why I love comedy too, by the way, is it showcases things that people are afraid to say, but will say because they can put it into some sort of a contextual thing that makes people chuckle about it. But it's the truth. There's an old saying, if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. And the irony is this, and I've talked about this before, and many of you know this. Now, this may be a trick of old people just in general, but it's certainly a truism of old black folks. My grandmother would put money, if she had money that she wanted hidden from the kids, she'd put it in the books, typically in the Bible. Now, you really want to draw home the point that you know somebody is not reading a good book. If somebody's looking to steal from you, you say, okay, just put those money, that the fold, whatever, these fresh dollar bills or whatever she might have in the Bible. Nobody's going to touch it. There's this show. You ever watch this show called Storage Wars? There was a girl who got a locker, and it was with books in it, and it was a box of books amongst other things. And the girl, they were like, "Oh, it's a bust." And the girl, who is a couple, Brandy and Jared, and Brandy goes, "No, let me have those books." And she took the books and she started fanning the pages out of some of them, and money was coming out. Money started falling out. I don't know how much they got, but Brandy knew enough to know, don't just dismiss these books. People hide money in those books. Now, the irony of it is, if they'd done any research, you don't know who the lockers belong to. They just cut the lock and the show begins. But I will guarantee you, the person who owned that locker was somebody black. They lost the locker, passed away, kids couldn't afford to get it out, whatever. And the person who owned the locker had hidden money in those books and forgot to get it when they put it in there. It was like a little mini savings account. My great-grandfather would hide money in cans around the house. And I remember one time he forgot where he hid it. He hid a can. And he had me out there. I was there one summer. He's like, "Buck, get your shovel, and you got to help me dig." And we were looking for an old can. We finally found it. Dug up half the yard. No, that's not true. We dug up a lot of the yard, but not half of it. Anyway, I don't know why I started the show with this, but hey, hope you're having fun. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. We'll be back in just a bit, folks. Lots to talk about. I promise you're going to have a good time.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you're with me. KJRadio.com. 844-551-8255. Conservatism is what we're talking about in the context of the flaky left. Conservatism is never asking what if, because you don't have to. So-and-so killed a 13-year-old girl in a drive-by shooting. I don't have to know what if the girl is white, what if the girl is black, what if the perpetrator is this. Cop shoots man committing a rape. Cop shoots man for whatever reason. Well, is the cop white? What if the cop is black? What if the dude really wasn't a big boy on his way to college or whatever? We don't have to ask what if. But the beauty of conservatism is you just see it for black and white for what it is. That's a kind of a strange way to put it, but you know what I mean. Kevin just talked about black and white. That was a cross between Clinton and Obama right there. Yeah, that Kevin Jackson talked about black and white. Yeah, so we don't have to second guess ourselves on things. We hear a story, we see the tragedy. Crazy man shoots up a bunch of people at a concert in Vegas. I don't need to know, is he Democrat, is he Republican? Was he wearing Confederate flag material? What? Was he black? Was he Muslim? It doesn't matter. It's a tragedy. I don't have to see things where you tell me, oh, some Hollywood producer is molesting a bunch of women. Well, what is he? Is he a Democrat? That's a horrible thing. And you know what? If that Harvey Weinstein had been a card-carrying member of the Republican Party, I would feel the same about him. The only reason why I focus more on what the politics of people are is so I can rub it in the faces of the left. Because that's what they do. They can't wait to rub things in our faces. They look at you can watch it. You can see it right here. It's playing itself out with this Roy Moore thing where, oh my gosh, Roy Moore, 40 years ago, he might have, squeezed the butt of somebody, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? Versus what? Harvey Weinstein really doing it? Versus Bill Clinton really raping women? Versus Kevin Spacey really molesting young boys? Whatever. Are you kidding me? And you want to play the what if game? Let's play the what if game. What if Bill Clinton had been George Bush? I'm no fan of Bush, but I guarantee you the left, it wouldn't have been about his private life then, would it? No, they would have been, it's atrocious what he did, and Bush puts himself off to be a Christian, and this is what he does, and now it's been proven that he actually did this with Monica Lewinsky. It would have been relentless. There'd be no way Bush could recover from that. No way whatsoever. But the left will play games. They'll pretend. They'll pretend like they really give a crap. They don't. Trust me on this, folks. They don't. So you have that. What if Harvey Weinstein had been a huge Republican donor? And all the things that we now know about him, he was a big friend of Donald Trump. What do you think they'd be saying? You haven't heard Weinstein, hadn't heard a Weinstein story in forever. I mean, unless we were telling you. By the way, he's out in Arizona at a one of these places supposedly cleaning himself up. He was spotted in public with two pretty blondes. No lie. You guys think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Spotted in public with two beautiful blondes. He's learned nothing. And so we can play the what if game with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. What if Donald Trump had been in some powerful place in government where he could influence legislation, and Melania got a $500,000 speaking gig in Russia, and Donald then brokered a deal where $145 million went to the Trump Foundation, and that deal was done through a friend of his named, Podesta, and that group made $20 million in stock in the company, and et cetera, et cetera. What would we be talking about? You think maybe, here's what's interesting. This is why I tell you we don't have to play the what if game. If this happened, conservatives would say, that's crooked. Donald Trump is more of the same. He claims to be fighting on behalf of the little guy when we learn of these things, and he's not fighting on behalf of us. And this is a travesty. He shouldn't be president, or he should be impeached. We should have a special counsel look into it, yada, yada. There's not a person among us who wouldn't be asking for that. And we would need fewer dots to connect. But we got collusion and cover up and all these other things on the left. Hillary Clinton is still out there talking. She's on the 25th anniversary of Bill Clinton getting elected. And we'll play a clip on that here in a bit. And she's out there on the circuit talking as if she's completely scot-free in all of this. And what's funny about it is it's all at the fringe of illegality. It's at the fringe. It very well could be that every single piece of what the Clintons did isn't technically illegal. But you know it is illegal. They just skirted the law. That's what's so sad. If they're able to do that, because Alan Dershowitz said this when I was on Fox and Friends, if they're able to do that, people are going to be very upset. This is amazing to me. Play the what if game. What if Barack Obama had freed those young black men from China? Do you think the one's father would have said what he said to Donald Trump, that he had nothing to do with it? You know the answer. The people would be lavishing praise on Barack Obama. And we got guys like Ben Howe, a so-called conservative. He's a never Trumper. And he says, Trump's out there tooting his own horn about getting these guys released. Who else is going to do it, Ben? The media? You, never Trumpers? The rhino Republicans? Donald Trump did those kids a favor, and he showcased the strength of American leadership when it's used correctly. And he gets those kids home, and you can compare. We don't even have to look for a place to look, a place to go here, folks. We got Otto Warmbier, who was imprisoned in North Korea and died when he got home. Young kid, healthy when he left. We've got Sergeant Tamaresi, Andrew Tamaresi, who was in a Mexican prison for the better part of a year. We've got enough examples. We've got Barack Obama, who released 5 bad guys back to the Taliban and wherever else they went because he wanted to bring back a traitor. We've got people that Barack Obama paid for $1 billion to Iran in order to get back those hostages. We've seen the contrast. So flip them. What if? What if Trump had done everything that I just said and Obama went and diplomatically got 3 black guys back home who had shoplifted? What would we be saying about it? I think you know the answers.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Author of Race Pimping, the multi-trillion-dollar business of liberalism. You can get my book at racepimping.com. We're going to be doing some Christmas specials on my books and the T-shirts we have and things like that. They're going to be giveaways. Seriously. So get your Christmas list ready. We're going to town. Anyway, I want to talk about flaky leftists and their weirdos, because the left believes we are weirdos. We conservatives are weirdos. You want to know why? We're weirdos because we actually want to hold people accountable. We are weirdos because we're supposedly square. They look at our version of fun and they go, I don't get it. These guys will get together and play badminton or horseshoes, or what's that thing where you try to get the beanbag in the hole, or whatever else. And I'm just telling you, they look at it, they're like, these people are bizarre. They drink tea, they sit around and talk, they commiserate and have fun with each other. Why aren't they going out, smoking reefer, snorting coke, getting drunk, waking up next to strangers, and yada yada? They do not understand us. I don't get it. And so we're the button-up square types. And let me tell you something. Even among our button-up square types, we have those that exist, and I'll use the George Bush family as an example, who are worse than the left. George Bush, his father, President H.W. George Bush, criticized President Trump, as you guys know, in a book that's going to be out. And they said, despite Trump's affiliation, he's worried that he will be the last Republican president. Well, they could be right. Donald Trump may be the last Republican president because he's going to redefine republicanism. He's going to be the last Republican president as they know it. And he calls Trump, H.W., the older one, calls Trump a blowhard in his book. Same thing Barack Obama said of Trump as well. The book is called The Last Republicans. So he says, I don't like him. I don't know much about him, but I know he's a blowhard, and I'm not too excited about him being a leader. That's what H.W. Bush said. The operative terms here are, I don't know much about him. I don't like him, but I don't know much about him. But I know he's a blowhard. Yeah. See, Trump comes up in this era, and let's face it, folks, we all run into this, where the person that dare say good things about himself, tell you what he's done with his life, you go, oh, look at him, he's an egomaniac. I'll never forget, I was asking, some guy was at a party. This is when I was just out of college maybe or something, and a guy, one of my friends who's a female, said something like, yeah, well, the guy's a martial artist, and the guy goes, yeah, well, Kevin's a black belt. And the guy comes over and he's like, yeah, so my friend tells me you're a black belt. And I'm like, yeah. And I go, you're a martial artist? Yeah, I'm a black belt. Oh, congratulations. And somehow we end up in a conversation about it. And I'm telling him the people that I'm fighting, these are guys that are world champion, kickboxers, etc. And we work out every weekend. And so I'm like, well, what school you with? And he told me, and I was like, oh, okay, what's a good school? And I go, well, I work out with so-and-so and so-and-so. So the party ends, and it's about 2 days later, and my friend who's a female said to me, yeah, well, whatever the guy's name was, he thought you were a bit of a blowhard. And I went like, why so? She goes, well, you were talking about martial arts and you mentioned a few people and they are world champions. I go, yeah, I work out with guys that are world champions. Well, how do you think you're going to get better? Right? And so then he asked me something about my degree, at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'm in double E or whatever. And he's like, yeah. And he mentioned your degree. And he goes, what did you say? I told him what my degrees were. And she goes, wow, that's it. I go, that's it. He asked me, so where'd you go to school? There? What degree did you get? This, and this. Okay. And so the facts were, in his opinion, blowhard. And it was such an important lesson for me because I remember at the time going, holy cow, what was I supposed to say? Oh, wow, you're just so much better a martial artist than I am as you get your little Master Kwan degree. And I'm fighting every weekend with guys who have belts because I want one. And I'm going, yeah, so good for you. And I'm supposed to downplay my degrees to make you feel better because you got a degree in humanities or something? Screw that. And I remember the conscious thing that came over me, this feeling, this rush of emotion, like, I'm not going to downplay who I am because it makes you feel better. And it's funny? I say to this day, that is one of the reasons why I probably didn't go further in life. Not that I'm disappointed, is because I'm not going to kowtow just because, if you'll pretend, it's like they call it a customer golf. If you'll play customer golf and let me win, no. If we play golf and you are 20 handicap and I'm an 8 handicap, I'm going to whoop your head. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to go, I'm going to say, good shot, Bill, when you hit a good shot. But because that's the way you deal with people in truth. If you play golf with the president, would you let him win? No, I wouldn't. I'll tell you right now, if I'm better at a sport than you, I'm going to make sure you know it. And it may even talk a little smack, depending. But these flaky leftists, the Bushes, he's got an ego. Yeah, you know what? I've talked about. You think the Bush family doesn't have an ego? Don't think that. Don't believe the hype for 1 second. All that good old boy Southern, we just go to Crawford, Texas. Look, there's a lot to admire about the Bush family. The fact that they remain family is a good thing. But don't you decide just because your sensibilities are offended because Jeb got his butt kicked that you suddenly want to go against the party and when you know something's right. Screw the Bush family. I used to just want to meet. I met Bucky. He's the brother of George. And I was unimpressed. But, he's a nice guy, but unimpressed. The Bush family's not that impressive. They certainly don't represent conservatism. They barely represent republicanism. Anyway, they're all flakes. And to me, they're leftist flakes. So Bush the younger says this, wow, this guy doesn't know what it means to be president. And what do you know? This is the guy that prior to Obama ballooned the deficit, put the spying agencies on American citizens. And look, as I said at the time, many of us were happy because we'd been attacked and we wanted different things going. But you know what? Make presidential decisions knowing what the future would hold, knowing who else could occupy that office. He didn't do that. And as far as being a fiscal hawk, this guy was a moron. George Bush Jr., whatever you want to call him, GW, was a moron when you look in retrospect. Now, in my defense, I wasn't political. I didn't know I was just out there making money, young guy trying to take care of his family. So I'm not going to fall on the sword for it. But I look back at it and I go, there's nothing to get excited about with the Bush family. Are you kidding? Compassionate conservatism. It's not an S. It's not plural. Back to these flakes. They call Mike Pence a flake. He's a robot, is what they said. They think Mike Pence is a weirdo. I've met Mike Pence. He's a button-up dude. Every time he shook hands, he'd correct his suit like a military guy. I just remember thinking, Mike's wound a little tight. Nice guy. Actually respects his wife, respects other women, says, I don't have meetings with women unless my wife's there. That kind of thing. I don't remember exactly what it is. He's not like Al Franken. He's not like Harvey Weinstein. He's a weirdo, right? That's what the left, before all the Weinstein stuff broke, when Mike Pence made the comment, I forget what was out in the news, but he was like, look, I just make sure I err on the side of caution. And so the media point, they called him a robot. I remember on the one of the late night shows, look, Mike Pence, he's a robot. Yeah, he's a robot that's a respectful guy. The left can't handle that. They can't handle the dude that doesn't have, a bunch of body armor and his tattoos. For all we know, Mike Pence is tattooed all the way underneath his T-shirt, down to his socks. But you will never know it. And he would probably never tell you. But the left look at those types of things and they want to know, well, what's up with him? Why is he so uptight? He's uptight because he doesn't want to deal with the issues. Like Louis C.K. Who else came out? There's been 3 or 4 people. Even Russell Simmons has now been accused of raping a girl. And some Jewish guy, Rathman or whatever his name is, he supposedly watched. I mean, these are very jacked up people. Sarah Silverman on Louis C.K. said, can you love someone who did bad? Yeah, I still love Louis. He's a great guy. He did a bad thing, but he's a great guy. Did she say that about Trump? When all Trump alluded to was what women would let you do, did she say that about him? No. She attacked him, as did every one of these Holly weirdos. But you're the weirdo. You conservatives, we conservatives, we're weird to them. Because we have accountability and we respect women. How weird is that?
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. You guys know how I feel about the military. And like I told you, I will go out of my way to shake the hand of anybody wearing a veteran hat. Whatever ship they served on, whatever part of the Air Force they work for, the Marines, the Army, you name it. I see that hat. And I go up and I thank them for their service. I was at a restaurant and a Marine was sitting down, older Marine. This guy's probably 70 years old, has his hat on with the Marine group he served with, etc. And before the waitress had just delivered the food, and I walked over and I said, "Hold on, Marine, before you eat. I just want to thank you for your service." And he looked up like you couldn't believe it, just like, "Thank you so much," and I said, "I don't want to interrupt your meal. Just want to let you know you appreciate it, sir." And he just couldn't quit looking. He was like, wow. And I don't do it because I'm like, oh, who's that guy? I do it because they deserve it. I want them to feel like superstars. I'll tell you something funny I did. So I was at the Gold Gloves, and everybody's wanting the autographs of all the big celebrity ball players, whatever. My little son's running around doing what he's doing, getting those autographs. And I see the president of Rawlings, and I go over to him and I said, "Hey, will you sign this for me?" And he looked up, and his wife is there. He's at a table in the middle, about 2 tables over from me. And he looks at the table and goes, "Now, see, this is a guy that gets it." I started laughing. So he autographs the ticket. We all got tickets to get in. He autographed the ticket, and then I said, "Let me get a picture." Got a picture with him, and we become friends. Yeah, I got to buy a Rawlings bat for my kid. I'm sending him a check. I'm like, hey, reimburse me, bro. But the funny part about it is he's not used to that happening. This is a guy who put on the event. His company is the one who started it, the Gold Gloves. And so he's going, it's our event. You know, he's not even at the top table, at the front tables where all the stars are. He's like, I mean, he's back where my table is, and we're no slouches. We weren't at the back of the room, but he's the president of the corporation, and nobody even bothers to thank him for putting on the event. His marketing guy thanked him. Hey, just want to thank Tom. Hey, buddy, woo, you know, giving a shout out. And I'm going, no, he needs more than that. This is a guy that we should be, I mean, just my opinion. So I feel the same way about veterans. Why am I going to go get a picture with a freaking senator who's never run a business, never been in harm's way, not ever had a bullet, close to him, and I'm going to go thank him? I'm going to go thank the veterans, the people that allow him to be here. I'm going to thank the first responders, the police, the fire departments. Those are the guys that are heroes. We've so displaced our sensibilities when it comes to who's really the heroes in this country. You kidding me? We don't even value the real, you know who the ultimate heroes are? It's a trick question. Parents. You are. Good, solid citizens raising other good, solid citizens. But one of my friends, Debbie Lee, we happened to be doing a hit at the same place. It was around Veterans Day, and her son Mark is a Navy SEAL who was killed. First Navy SEAL killed in, I believe, Afghanistan. And Mark, man, stud. And I thank Debbie Lee for raising two boys, and Mark happens to be one of them, and Mark getting the training to be a Navy SEAL and just knocking the socks off of it until he ultimately sacrificed his life. Thank her. She's the one who, her husband abandons her. He's an abusive man. He abandons her, and she kept her family together. And one of those boys grew up and decided he was going to fight for this country, and he did it to the best of his ability until he got killed by a sniper. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I want to talk about this story because it segues into the best of us, the people who protect us in every way. And I believe the veterans are the front line of that, because without them, we don't even have cops and firefighters. But it was a hidden camera video that captured black nurses laughing as an 89-year-old World War vet died. And we should all be very mad, because this, if you see the video, you know what it does. It showcases the America that leftists built. Nurses laughing. And when I saw the video, I was thinking, why would anybody, and I'm talking about anybody on God's green earth, want to be part of Obamacare when you know you're going to receive care that's based on your color, your political ideology, etc. When you go to the hospital, you want the best public servants, particularly in a veterans hospital. You want the best public servants. You want people who do not care about politics. They want what's best for you. It should be in their heart. But there was an undercover video that showed these nurses laughing, and this man died in front of them. It happened in Northeast Atlanta Health and Rehab in 2014, but the family had to file a lawsuit in order to get the video, and they just got it. So I want you to understand this. In order to get to the truth about how World War II veteran James Dempsey died, the family had to sue. And attorneys that represented the Atlanta nursing home where he died tried to prevent them from obtaining the video. They asked a DeKalb County judge to keep the video sealed and then attempted to appeal the Georgia State Supreme Court. And let me tell you why all this happened, folks. Because it was going to show you three black women who did not care that veteran, 89-year-old World War II veteran, one of our last remaining heroes of a war that kept us out of Nazi hands, and they're laughing as he's gasping for air. They'll do anything to keep the truth from getting out. Unbelievable. The judge ruled in favor of the family, and the nursing home dropped its appeal to the Supreme Court. And the video shows what happened to this 89-year-old man, decorated World War II veteran from Woodstock, Georgia. 6 hours of video court deposition of lies. This former nursing supervisor, her name is Wanda Knuckles, explains how she responded to the patient before she knew that the video camera, the hidden camera, existed. And you can hear in her questioning by the victim's attorney as she recants. And the video proves that she's lying through her teeth, because what she says is when he punched his button saying he needed help, which, by the way, he did 6 times before he finally went unconscious, gasping for air. And according to state records, the nursing home staff found Dempsey unresponsive at 5:28 a.m. Yeah. It took almost an hour for the staff to call 911. 5:28 to 6:25 a.m. Almost an hour. So the attorney asked the former nursing supervisor, Knuckles, what her response would be had she witnessed the behavior of the 2 ladies that we saw in the video that were essentially doing nothing for this man as he's gasping for air. And she says, I would have written them up. She says, I would have reprimanded them. She called the video sick. But then she enters the room. And one would think that a supervisor would have understood the gravity of a man calling for help 6 times, but she acted like, if you see the video, like it's a routine situation. But in her video deposition, she said she rushed into Dempsey's room when a nurse alerted her that he had stopped breathing, and she started performing CPR. It was a lie. From the time you came in, you took over doing chest compressions, correct? Yes. Until the time paramedics arrived, you were giving continuous CPR. Yes? That's what she answers. Then we got the video. And the video shows 2 women doing nothing for this veteran. She comes in and they start laughing as this man is gasping for life. They are laughing at him. This is unbelievable. You know what she said? When they ask her, why did you say that when you weren't doing that? She says, that was an honest mistake. I was basing on everything that I would normally do. The nurses they couldn't get his oxygen machine working. And you can hear him gasping, and they're laughing, folks. I want you to understand that. And then the attorney says, ma'am, was there something funny that was happening? And she says, I can't remember all that, as you can see. Oh, we can see what you did. You did nothing. And let me tell you something, folks. If you think this wasn't racially motivated, you'd be wrong.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. The Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
It's a mad world, baby. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. On demand, 24/7. I want to begin this hour talking about a former cop, who's now in prison. He got sentenced to 15 years. And what did he do? He shot his daughter's boyfriend. Now, maybe that's all you need to know about the story. Jealous dad didn't like the kid she was with. Maybe he got mouthy. Maybe he was a hooligan. Who knows? Kills his 18-year-old daughter's 19-year-old boyfriend as they were walking hand in hand. And the mother's complicit too. She's also a former cop. She confronts the couple. They have some words, blah, 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 blah. The daughter says they had kicked her out of the house a week before, and she went to live with her boyfriend. Now, she's 18 years old. She's emancipated. She can live where she wants. You've done all you can, parents. That's it. She decides, I don't know, maybe they issued an ultimatum. You need to leave this house. If you're going to date that boy, you need to leave. So she says, fine. And she leaves and she goes to stay with her boyfriend. His name is Lake. And then suddenly the parents roll up. They know where the boy lives. He and the girl are out walking, holding hands. I don't know, whispering sweet nothings into each other's ear. The mother gets out. They have words. Then he says something to the mother. Next thing you know, the father shoots him. The girl, the daughter, takes off running and says they shot at her. Is that true? I don't know. Now here's the twist to the story. This is a white chick. Kepler is her name. And her boyfriend is black. Does that change the view of the story for you at all? Was it racially motivated? Possibly. Was it fatherly motivated? Possibly. What do we know about this kid that got shot? His dad gets up and issues a plea. You killed my boy. I can't believe it. I really wanted to get up here and wring your neck and whatever. I get it. But Michael Brown's parents acted like he was the knight in shining armor. We don't know a lot about this case, but here's the tragedy. The tragedy is a young couple wanting to be together, prevented from doing that. Parents at odds with their daughter over her choice of men. Nobody wanting to just work it out in normal mode. Ultimatums being issued. Girl says they kicked me out. Parent says she ran away. I don't know how an 18-year-old runs away from home. Either you want her there or you don't. If you say you're old enough to be on your own, get out. Because you can't say you're 18 years old, you're going to follow the rules of my house. I mean, you can to some degree, but then aren't you really telling her to get out? See, what's interesting about the world that we live in today, we don't know. We have no answers to this. I was doing a little bit of research on this story because I was interested in how the New York Post labeled it. Cop kills daughter's black boyfriend. So I automatically know the daughter is not black. That was how they wrote it. That's how they titled it. Then they went on to say this. A white ex-Oklahoma police officer was sentenced Monday to 15 years in prison for the fatal off-duty shooting of his daughter's black boyfriend. That's the first sentence. 4 trials spanning nearly a year, including 3 that resulted in hung juries. And they finally convicted this man. Here's the interesting thing about the hung juries. The first jury went 11-1. I don't know which direction. The second jury went 10-2. Again, I don't know which direction. The third jury went 6-6. So the trend line in one direction was positive depending upon how you looked at it. In other words, if it was 11-1 to convict, then 10-2 to convict, then 6 to convict, he had to be pretty happy because the trend line was certainly going his way. But in the fourth one, they convicted him. Interesting. So is this guy a racist? Possibly. Look, we're talking about Oklahoma now, ain't we? We ain't talking about New York. Black people dating white girls is not a big deal. But we're talking about Oklahoma, which already gives you that. Oh, there it was. There's the deep South. But maybe the dude was just a bad dude. It isn't like Oklahoma doesn't have interracial relationships. We know nothing about it, do we? The father said, no, I went to protect my daughter. She was living in a very rough area of town. I went there strapped, ready to go. Who knows what was going to happen? Again, is it believable? Sure. Is it plausible? Sure. Is it probable? Not really. Not when you've already sort of set the stage to say, you get out of my house. And the girl leaves and then suddenly the boyfriend's dead. I mean, unless you got a pretty serious beef. Look, as a father, if my daughter, I don't have any daughters, but if my daughter said, Dad, I want to date this guy, and I go, look, you shouldn't be dating this guy, but you're 18 years old, there is nothing short of him beating the devil out of my daughter that I'm going to do to make me even come close to wanting to kill him. I'll beat the crap out of him. but I don't think I'd kill him. See, I could do a little time for beating him up. He was protecting his daughter. The guy had hit his daughter. The guy had threatened his daughter, had beaten his daughter, had shot his daughter, whatever. I'm going to beat him to within an inch of his life. There's no question in my mind. I know there are people out there going, Kevin, serious, man. Calm down, dude. Don't be so mean. Yeah, if I had a daughter, or if it was my sister, and her boyfriend or husband beat her up, he's getting a butt whooping, even if I got to do a little time. Now, let's just call it street justice. There are white people out there going, Kevin, come on. We could talk it through, man. You just talked about talking it through. No, there's no talking it through. If it was my sister, I might talk it through. If it's my daughter, he's getting a butt whooping. I know there are dads out there going, yep, Kevin, that's what I do. That's how I handle it. You're right. We're all right. So, I can see beating him up. Shooting him, now I got to go to jail forever. It has to be pretty serious. He's beaten her, tried to kill her, but it doesn't sound like that. She's mad at the parents. She's going, wait a minute, they shot at me after they shot him, I took off running. I don't know if that's true. I don't get it that it rose to the level of that much violence. But we don't know the story, do we? Because the flaky left won't let us know. We can't get to the truth because we have all these colors and all these other nuances to the story. That's what we're about today. Keep it here.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We have chronicled on the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com, various things that you should take a look at that are racist. Like math. Math is racist. Hard work is racist against black people. And there are many other things out there that are just as wacky and flaky as it leaves you wondering who's sitting around thinking this stuff up. Life moves too fast for me to be thinking, oh, wow, well, this is another area where I've been deprived or something. It's weird. But now we have one that really is kind of interesting. And maybe we've actually covered this in another subject, under a different guise. Is nature racist? I know there was a professor that said God is racist. I thought, wow. Really? Black professor. God is racist. God is a white racist. Why didn't she just add Republican and make it easy? So here's something that's racist. I didn't realize this. The outdoors is racist. Maybe clean air is racist. What do you think? I mean, think about it. The concentration of black people in the city. How dirty is the air in the city? Pretty dirty, right? Lots of pollution in those cities. Those cities are occupied with with people of lower income. And who's the most poor people? I'm just talking America right now, but we can go around the world here in a little bit. But it's black folks, people of color. So air is potentially racist because it's dirty. Or perish the thought, black folks are making the air in the cities dirty. Ooh, you wouldn't want to bring up that controversial subject. I'm not saying just in their living and breathing, but maybe in their vehicles or, cooking them chitlins and whatever else we do, because we can throw down with some Crisco. Shoot. Oh, yeah. The great outdoors is racist, folks. Air, the very air that we breathe. This is an article I'm reading from. It was the Blaze article. Do you love the great outdoors? Do you find nature comfortable and relaxing? Well, if you do, it's probably because you're white. This is according to a student at Claremont Colleges in New York. Yeah, you enjoy the outdoors because you're white. Now, I saw this. I'll be honest with you. I grew up in the outdoors. I grew up on a big 25,000 acre cattle ranch. And I did not realize the significance of this. Apparently, that was white privilege. I was in the lap of white privilege and didn't know. Because I was a poor country kid, and we had to take care of this property for a very wealthy white family. And I didn't realize that was a privilege. How dare I enjoy the great outdoors every day for most of my life? Claremont Colleges in in California. Would it matter? It's in the heart of liberalism. Anyway, a recent op-ed in a student-run newspaper, student Malcolm McCann claimed that non-white people are excluded from the outdoors because of white supremacy. See, when I see things like this, I really want to put my fingers around the throats of leftism. Malcolm McCann, I'm going to believe it. He's a white kid. I don't know many blacks that are McCanns. But he believes he's going to get on the good side of leftism, of blacks or whatever. So he writes a stupid article. And it is an opinion piece. But where would he come up with something so lame? This is not only is the subject matter lame, I mean, the idea of it is completely absurd, but the paper published it, the student newspaper. He goes on to say this: due to the predominance of whiteness in the outdoors, people of color have been denied access to the outdoors. Not exactly brilliant writing there. Due to the prominence of whiteness in the outdoors, people of color have been denied access to the outdoors. He could have put his sentence structure better. But who am I to say something right? I'm black. I mean, student Malcolm McCann. So we've been denied access to the outdoors. Number one. And number two, it's predominantly white out there? No, it's not. When I go into the country, let me tell you what it's predominantly. It's predominantly woods. It's predominantly trees and shrubbery and dirt roads and whatever else. That's what it is. There's nothing predominantly white about it. He says, McCann seems to take issue with outdoor programs at Claremont, which is a conglomerate of 5 colleges known as the 5 C's. These programs, McCann argued, are the most funded on campus, yet are saturated with white supremacy. McCann admitted the clubs are open for all people, no matter the color of someone's skin, but not everyone feels safe to attend. So this is one of these things where I love the left's logic in this. it's open to everybody, but because blacks won't do it, it's obviously still inherently racist. Maybe it's inherently something blacks don't want to do. I have a lot of black friends who are from the city, and if you were to say, man, you ought to come with me and let's go camping, and man, shoot, I ain't going out in all them woods, all them bugs and crazy animals out there and stuff that can kill you. Man, I ain't going out there. And okay. I don't know what the polling would be. I'm not totally unofficial. We're not journalists here. I make sure people understand that. But here's what I'll bet you. I bet you the majority of blacks in the city, if you said, man, we're going to go fishing or we're going to go hunting in the country, it's 45 miles outside of whatever, name your big city here, and you'd have a blast. And they go, nah, man, I ain't getting out there. Not all them crazy animals. And you couldn't entice them. You couldn't even say, dude, we get out there, we barbecue, we throw down with some hip hop, Yeah, you ain't trying to fool me. I'm laughing because I got a friend in mind who would say exactly what I'm telling you. You ain't fooling me, man. And this guy, McCann, who wrote the article, says it's because of racial boundaries that people don't want to cross. They don't want to be out there with white folks. It's a little scary. Well, I know black guys who have white friends and they constantly do things together. And as I said, and this is my argument, I don't care if people like it or not, you're safer as a black person hanging out with your white friends than you are hanging out with your own family, generally speaking. And I'm not joking about that. Unbelievable. How do you let somebody write this nonsense? How does this thing get published? It says the writer added, historically, white people in imperialist conquests have appropriated land as their own. North America rightfully belongs to indigenous communities, yet it's been taken away from them by force. More gobbledygook, folks. Take a short break. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
They keep saying how brilliant she is, how genius she is, how smart she is. I think she's dumb as a stick. She's got every intention of testing the water to run again in 2020. And my response is, bring it, baby. Bring it. Would you not love to see a rematch of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton? Come on.
Wow. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I would love to see that rematch. Not because, it would mean Hillary's still around and she's politically dead. She remains relevant because somebody out there wants her to be that way, but she's politically dead. And look, I know how tough the Clintons are and they hang on like a tick on a hound dog, but they're dead. They're politically dead. Toxic. The Democrat Party will never rally around Hillary Clinton as they did in the last election. Those days are gone. That ship has sailed. And what's interesting is the Clintons, it's 25 years since Bill Clinton has been raping and molesting women in mass. And he became president, ran a campaign that totally got lucky. He changed politics and how he ran that campaign and getting people to not focus on his personal life and some of the major issues and instead looking at cult of personality. Excuse me. And so and good for him, because the good news was Bill Clinton finally got people to say, look, we can't be looking at everybody's flaws or we're not going to have decent candidates. Now, the sad part is he's a scoundrel and he never should have been president because he's a scoundrel. But while there, to his credit, he listened to Congress. He paid attention to Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich was, in fact, he was the de facto president. he essentially explained to Clinton, if you want 2 terms, you're going to follow what we do. And Clinton used his cult of personality to make sure he won. And he did. And it's funny, I had a friend of mine, his name is Bill. He runs a big institute, and he said to me, Kevin, if you look at Clinton's record, he was a good president. And, if you take all the politics out of it, he goes, and if you go and you do what Bill says, Clinton was a good president. He was. I'll admit it. But here's how he was a good president. He dropped all of the leftist talk. He followed the blueprint for America, what they call it, Contract for America or With America, something like that Gingrich did. And Clinton saw the writing on the wall and went, you know what? This is a good thing. And Gingrich was effectively the de facto president. It made Clinton look good, so he was fine with it. Go back and listen to Clinton talk about immigration. We got to protect our borders. Watch him talk about crime in the cities. He's the one that put 100,000 cops on the street, and his wife called the young thugs who were committing crime super predators. And now nobody said much about it at the time, but it was true then. Suddenly it's a bad thing to say. It isn't a bad thing to say. It was the truth. Absolute truth. So go look at his policies. Bill Clinton implemented welfare to work. Signed the bill into law. And I could go on. The left didn't fight him because, it was almost a perfect thing. If Obama could have feasted if he had worked with Congress and done a similar thing. If we had a good enough House leader at the time, whether it was Boehner or Paul Ryan, if we had somebody like Gingrich, who was Speaker of the House, he could have made Obama look like a Greek god as far as president goes. We've lost that. We have nothing close to that. Nothing. And so we are where we are. And so Donald Trump, if you want to contrast it, he's got the House and the Senate, and he's got nobody fighting battles on his behalf to make sure this stuff gets passed. The Republicans have the biggest opportunity of their lives. Whether they agree or not with Donald Trump, or they like his style or not, if they get his agenda through, they are golden. These guys would be, you could even talk term limits. People would love their Republicans, but they don't. Anyway, I want to play this clip about Hillary Clinton and what she said about Bill Clinton's ability to get elected had we been in a little different day and time than we are right now.
Unfortunately, our body politics immune system has been impaired because there has been a concerted effort starting with the creation of the Fox network. It wasn't there when Bill first ran. It was one of the reasons he probably survived.
Welcome back, everybody. That statement was so telling in so many ways. The obvious thing that everybody runs to is, well, Fox would have been reporting, conservative in going against Bill Clinton. And and to be honest with you, I don't know whether that's true or not true, because Fox, number one, is not as conservative as people think, first of all. And number two, Fox is going to look at it through, quote, fair and balanced. And I met Roger Ailes, spoke to him a few times. I know exactly what Roger tried to accomplish, and I think he did a pretty good job. It was fair and balanced. Fox has as many liberals as it does conservatives. Seriously. I'm not talking about Laura Ingraham and Hannity and Martha McCallum or Tucker. I'm talking about the people that are on the show, etc. It's a good balance. It's not heavy-handed conservatism. When I was on Outnumbered, there were 2 liberals on that show. So they can talk to me all day about, it's dogmatically conservative. No, it's not. You'll get a good idea of the views if you watch a lot of the Fox programs. So anyway, I want to move on because I want to talk about the deeper issue. The deeper issue of what Hillary Clinton is saying is Bill Clinton couldn't have gotten elected because Fox would have outed the things that he's doing and would have put more of a focus on it. He couldn't have gotten away with, the sexual dalliances that he had. They would have called him into question on it. It would have been a discussion. We would have been debating, should he be it? And so on and so forth. What Hillary Clinton is saying is effectively the other media gave Bill a pass on things that Fox wouldn't have, and that might have gotten him made him unelectable. So she knew what the media was about, and she's essentially telling you they were complicit because they don't care about the fact that Bill raped Juanita Broderick didn't matter to them. The fact that he sexually harassed Paula Jones didn't matter to him. None of it. Doesn't matter to the media. If they picked him, he's the guy, they ignored it. And that's what they did. They made a movie about Bill Clinton. It was called Primary Colors. John Travolta played him. And it was a parody, I should say a caricature. It was a caricature of Bill Clinton's life. The fact that the dude was having sex with his friends' daughters and, people that worked for him. Everybody in the campaign knew to keep a lid on it. The person who played his wife would explode at him for not being able to keep it in his pants, and on and on. The people and the whole notion of it was for everybody working the campaign. It was a black guy who played one of the lead actors, and the whole idea was, well, you know what? He's bigger than what this issue is, so we got to stay the course. We got to stay the course. Bimbo eruption after bimbo eruption. Bill Clinton can't keep it in his pants. Blah, blah, blah. So I look at it and I think to myself, they all knew. And Hillary Clinton is saying Fox News wouldn't have tolerated this. They would have wanted the truth. What she's saying is the left doesn't care about the truth. As long as they have their candidate, and Bill Clinton, I don't remember who he ran up against, but it wasn't that good of a crowd. And Clinton came out of nowhere when he played the saxophone. I believe on Arsenio Hall's show, people started going, he's a real guy. He played the sax poorly, put on his sunglasses, and suddenly he became a real guy. Well, good for him. I'm just, I look back at these situations, and 25 years ago, what was being done versus now. Hillary made the comment that, Bill, when he accomplished things, he didn't tweet. This is I think she said, I forget what year. But Twitter didn't get founded until 2002, or was it 2006? He couldn't have tweeted. And it's a slam on Donald Trump, the fact that he does. Look, Donald Trump, for however you want to look at him, Clinton ran one of the best campaigns ever. Barack Obama, his campaign was around timing. But if you put Barack Obama up against Donald Trump today, Trump crushes him. You put Bill Clinton up against Trump, he crushes him. You want to know why? He would not allow you to not speak of the things that you've done. Donald Trump would be no holds barred. Hey, Bill, how's that womanizing going? He would be addressing this stuff front and center. Hey, Barack, I hear maybe you've frequented the bathhouses of Chicago. Why don't you tell us about that? And that's what we've needed all this time as a fighter. What do you think? Could Donald Trump have beaten either of those guys? I'm not saying in their heyday. I'm talking about today. I think he could have. I think Trump would have crushed those guys because he would have gone after them.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177, or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Got some news about Jesse Jackson. We were going to talk about this the other day and we didn't get to it, but he made a major health announcement. And before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about Jesse Jackson and my perspective as a kid growing up with him, because as an adult, I can easily tell you that Jesse Jackson has devastated the black community. He's decimated it as well. His shameful tactics of using blacks whenever he wanted to get something accomplished for his personal mission, it hurt blacks in immeasurable ways. And I remember how my grandparents, who are lifelong Democrats, held Jesse Jackson in high esteem. We would watch this guy on TV, and they would be, just point to him like that. Now that's who you need to watch, And I would listen to Jesse Jackson come on with his, you need to put hope in your brain and not dope in your veins. I am somebody. You are somebody. And he would just go on to this, these very, even at an early age, I thought these were like very trite things. I witnessed a whiny complainer out for himself. This circus act that I just described. And I recognized it. Maybe I was 12 years old. And I remember thinking to myself, how could other people not see this? You need to put hope in your brains and not dope in your veins. And I remember that was one of the first things I remember Jesse Jackson saying. And I know that's a positive sounding message, but that's the message that hides the sinister underbelly of what Jesse Jackson really represented. He wanted to make people believe, I'm empowering your black children. I am somebody, I'm black and I'm proud, whatever else. And maybe he did. Maybe some people heard it that way. I could recognize underneath it very early. And as much damage as I believe Jesse Jackson has done to the black community, I don't wish him any ill will. I'll let God be his judge. And the reason why I say that is I want to talk about he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And here's what the USA wrote. Civil rights leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson. That's when you know you're reading a leftist rag. Civil rights leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson. They could have just said Jesse Jackson Sr. And they could have said icon of the civil rights movement. Things like that. He's iconic, but he's not a leader. Has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Jackson, 76, made the announcement in a letter to supporters saying he was diagnosed 2 years ago with neurodegenerative disorder that results from loss of cells in various parts of the brain that control movement. The disease also affected his father. And it's ripe for jokes. We always talk about leftists being brain damaged, and they are. But I didn't touch it. I left it alone. Jackson says, after a battery of tests, my physicians identified the issue as Parkinson's disease, a disease that bested my father, he wrote. I didn't know senior Jesse Jackson beyond him, whatever his father's name. I didn't know he died of Parkinson's as well. So I want to find out more about that. I'm curious about it. He says, recognition of the effects of this disease on me have been painful, and I've been slow to grasp the gravity of it. For me, a Parkinson diagnosis is not a stop sign, but rather a signal that I must make my lifestyle changes and dedicate myself to physical therapy in hopes of slowing the disease's progression. So he's 76 years old. Jesse Jackson has spent a lifetime essentially riling people up for his own personal benefit. And he, look, I'm not going to, he's writing a letter to the people that believe in his work. And he's saying, I'm going to have to change. I would have recommended Jesse Jackson is 76 years old and his shtick hasn't changed a bit. The only thing that changed in Jesse Jackson's miserable life is his reception of the work that he does, which is, again, it's such a slap in the face. It's an affront to not only blacks, but to Americans in general. And he should have stopped this decades ago. He should have recognized it, and he should have turned his organization into something for good. And now he's on the trailing edge of life. And I'm talking pretty far down the slope. He's been diagnosed with a debilitating brain disorder. And now, it's going to give him, all kinds of shakes. I remember watching Ali become a fraction of the man. By the way, when you've seen Jesse Jackson, if you've seen him recently, you see he's got all the signs that Ali had when he was, outside of the shaking, but you can see some of it. But he's got the signs. He's had them for a long time. This isn't a 2-year-old thing for him. He's noticed it. I said this. I hope he shifts his priorities. I hope he dedicates himself to real pursuits and stops crushing the black community. Further, I hope he tells the truth about the work that he's done before he dies. I remember Jesse Jackson came to Ferguson during the riots, or whatever you want to call it. And he was in a car and he got spotted. I think they'd gone to a fast food place. And a brother comes up to him with a camera and he's like, "Hey, Jesse Jackson, yeah, you here?" He said, and Jesse Jackson says something like, "Yeah, I marched." And the brother goes, "You didn't march." He goes, "No, you didn't." He said, "We marched." He goes, "We marched for hours. You were nowhere to be found." And see, Jesse Jackson was going to try to put it out there that he marched with the people in Ferguson. And they go, "You didn't march." And eventually it got belligerent to the point where I'm not exactly, if you see the video, it's easy to find. Jesse Jackson's kind of like, wow, we maybe need to get out of here. And the dude driving the car is kind of like, they're both in shock. They're thinking, I'm with this icon. Black people are going to love what he's doing. Black people, in fact, the guy said, "We don't need you here. You need to go. You ain't," he's like, "You are nothing. We have no respect for you." It was embarrassing is what it was. But I was proud of the people. They didn't have it right. They were talking about, we need to be marching for Michael Brown, this, that, and the other. And if they believed in the cause, congratulations to them. But what they did know is that Jesse Jackson wasn't there to help. Jesse Jackson was there to feather his own nest. Now, I remember it was a priceless look. You got to see that video. It was like Jesse Jackson was saying, "I don't even know these Negroes. Who are these people? What planet am I on?" It was a shock. And what's funny, Jackson was no friend of Obama. Yeah. A few weeks after Jackson had whispered that he wanted to cut off Obama's pecans, you know what I'm talking about, he was still running with scissors. He made the front page news in Israeli newspapers after he told an interviewer that Obama's presidency will remove the clout of, quote, "Zionists who have controlled American policy for decades." Yeah, I'm not sure whether he was, saying that the election of Obama, because he hated the Jews, was going to finally be it was going to be a good thing. And for the record, Jackson was right. Yeah, he was right. Barack Obama he really did a number on the relationship between Israel and the United States. The Obama campaign national security spokesperson at the time, her name was Wendy Marigi, she said, "As he has made clear throughout his career and throughout his campaign, Barack Obama has a fundamental commitment to a strong U.S.-Israel relationship." Whatever. Anyway, I don't want to focus on that. I want to go back to, the Jesse Jackson saga. Jesse Jackson was about his paychecks, folks. I remember when Thomas Sowell was asked, "Would you ever want to meet with Jesse Jackson to explain your point of view?" And Thomas Sowell was very succinct. He says, "No." He goes, "Why would I get between a man and his paycheck?" And I thought, how profound. Why would I get between a man and his paycheck? He's going, he wanted to meet with Al Sharpton. But it was the same difference. He's like, you're not going to reason with a guy who's making a living doing what he's doing. You're not going to reason with him. You know what's scary to Sharpton and Jackson? They're afraid to come over to the side of righteousness, not because they don't think about the money. They could make money. Can you imagine Al Sharpton saying, "You know what? I am so wrong." And coming over to the right and explaining all the things he got wrong, he'd be on the speaking circuit. What he doesn't like is he'd lose black supporters. that black support is like a drug to these people. They can't handle it. Anyway, look, I don't wish Jesse Jackson any ill will, because I don't wish that on many men at all, and I'm not going to start with him, because there are others that may deserve it more. But he needs to come clean.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.